What's up, everybody? This podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/Courtney Diamond. I'm currently listening to Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach, which is a book that I heard Tim Ferriss suggest on one of his more recent podcasts with Tim Urban, titled Managing Procrastination, Predicting the Future, and Finding Happiness. So bam, double listening suggestion today. But no matter what you want to listen to, grab it for free by going to audibletrial.com/Courtney Diamond. It's a great way to support the podcast, so use it and share it with someone that would love a new book to cuddle up with. Now for this week's podcast, I sat down to chat with the writer of the blog Boodaism. He also hosts his own podcast called Darken the Page, is a musician, and the co-founder of an event called IntimacyFest. It was a very interesting chat, everybody. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this conversation I had with Dave Booda. What's interesting about your past is how you were in the Navy, right?
I was in the Navy, yes.
And
I went to the Naval Academy, which is weird for some people.
So, and now you're a blogger, and what else do you like to say that you are at this point?
Well, I don't like to say I am much things, but but you do have to define yourself sometimes, and that's okay. But yes, I do. I think blogger is an identity that I enjoy, also something that you enjoy, which is, but just a writer in general and musician. You know, I've been playing music for a while. And so, but yeah, writing and the blog is really something that's extremely important to me. And that project has been sort of the most important thing I do for myself. You know, doesn't make much money, but it's important.
I understand that fully. So I guess I'm curious as the steps between being in the Navy, in the Naval Academy, and then how did you get to this completely different kind of identity?
Yeah, it's weird. It's funny. I had a guy message me the other day who reads my stuff, who is actually a friend of my sister's, who went to college with my sister. My sister is very traditional. She's not weird in a lot of ways that I am. And he reached out to me because he's in a polyamorous relationship with his girlfriend, and he's struggling with it. And I don't know. He wasn't asking for help, but he was just expressing what's going on. I was like, dude, you should call me, man. I'll help you out. Like, I totally get it. And at the end, we were joking. He's like, yeah, part of the reason I felt like I could reach out to you is that, you know, I knew your sister and I knew you were kind of a relatively normal guy, but had done this stuff. And I was like, yeah, the normal, like, Naval Academy, polyamorous.
It's like a very normal
gender
combo, right?
Questioning. Yeah. Like, of course, the usual.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I think I went to the Naval Academy in the Navy because I'm a rebel, and it's hard to be a rebel without a system. And so that was part of it, the allure for me. I like seeing what's possible within a system. So it's like, I'm not even like about breaking rules necessarily, but seeing how far you can go within the rules that are actually there. Because most people don't do that. Most people just like say, okay, that's the rules. I'm just going to stay in the middle of the room and not touch the fences. Because if I touch the fences, I'm going to get in trouble, even though that's technically still within the fence lines. And I'm like, check it out. And then I'm over by the fence and like, you know, and then somebody's like, you're outside the fence. No, I am technically inside the fence lines, motherfucker. So, you know, do you want to change the rules, or do you want to be honest here? That's kind of been my life for whatever reason.
Nice. So that gave you a good structure for that.
So I played within the fence lines a lot. I mean, I still do that in many ways. I'm not a big fan of breaking rules in a way because it's like I want to see systematic changes. So if I go and I stand over by the fence line and I'm like, hey, check it out. This is still within the rules. And then maybe some of the people are like, oh, well, I want to be over there too. I don't really want to play within the rules either. I want to be over by that fence line. If that's within the rules, I'm going to go over there too. And then all of a sudden there's like a party over there. But then, you know, if the people are like, oh, they have to actually question, they have to make a more intentional fence line. They have to actually think about this stuff. And I think I want to inspire that. This is a very like big metaphor.
Yeah,
about
no,
my
it makes
life.
total sense with the type of things that I've seen that you're writing about too. So question for you as a writer.
Yeah.
What is your creative process?
Oh, do you know I have a whole podcast on this?
No, I haven't listened to it.
I have a podcast called Darken the Page. So I interview writers and creatives and artists and stuff, and we just talk about the creative process. And because I love this question, like I'm very excited about this, because I find that I would listen to these interviews with writers, and there'd be like 5 minutes of it where they're like, and so, like, what's your day like? And they're like, Well, it's no big deal. I get up at like 7:47 a.m. every morning, and my cat jumps over my head, and if that doesn't happen, it won't be a good day. And then I get up and pour myself a perfect cup of coffee, and that means this. And then I sit at my desk, but before I sit at my desk, I light the candle, and then I clean the whole room, and then I make magic. And you're like, whoa, that's fascinating. Like, it's just.
I wish it was that. Ready-made, because it doesn't seem to work that way for me.
Or they're like, alcoholic and depressed, and they still manage to do brilliant work. But whatever it was fascinating. Mm-hmm. I was like, let's talk about this. This is super interesting. So that's what I mean. That's my context too. I thought I liked this question. So I have a writing schedule where a posting schedule. I post every Wednesday. And I've been doing that for 3 years. I've taken 2 sabbaticals, one for 1 month, one for 2 months. The last one for 2 months, I was doing a bicycle trip down the Pacific coast. And I just have to publish, whether that means I cram last minute or it means I luxuriously write for like an hour a day every day for the week. Both happen. Lately, I've been actually really surprised to find that when I cram, sometimes I just bang out something great. And I used to think that if I did that, I would get subpar work, but I don't know. I've been doing this for a while, and I'm getting pretty good at it, maybe.
It's like the magic of procrastination.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Procrastination gods or something.
Yes, maybe. It's like that's when the muses visit you, when you're forcing yourself into a certain timeline.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like in school, because I went to film school. Okay. And so I have a degree in screenwriting. And so they would have us do classes where you show up and you have to have 30 pages written. And then I would find myself the night before with like 2.
Yeah.
And then have to stay up until 5 a.m. and just get out 30 pages of whatever at that point.
Yeah.
But I would look back at those things and I'd be like, wow, well, that's when the good ideas actually came to me.
Yeah. Coffee is very important in that process too.
I drink too much of it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I do. I stop at 2 cups.
You're smarter than me.
I'm actually really good at regulating it, although coffee really works for me. And I typically will drink it like 4 or 5 days a week. I won't drink it every day. And then I'll go to like 2 cups, and depending how much food I've had. But if I'm on a good coffee high, like anything is possible. Like I will take on the world.
That's hilarious.
It is my favorite drug. And it's just like, why am I so fucking brilliant? Right? Coffee. Right.
Are you like a daytime or a nighttime writer? Does it matter?
Daytime. Yeah. I get a lot of sleep. I go to sleep around like midnight or 1 or so, and then I might sleep till like 9 or 10. And then I like just kind of waking up slowly, sort of like getting some momentum in the day. And then around like 11 or noon is when I might hit peak for like 2 or 3 or 4 hours. And then after that, it's just shit.
Yeah. And that was the magic, and it is officially
and
gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And I try to stop when it's gone. And I'm a big believer in, I don't know if it's Abe Lincoln that said this, but he gets attributed to it. It's like if I had 5 hours to cut down a tree, I'd spend the first 3 sharpening my axe. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Who knows if he actually said that? Probably didn't. But
who knows? But it's a thing.
But that's how I try to look at it. Quality versus quantity. It's not, if I go for a run or if I just get out and move and I do something, I'm just like cultivating my ability to actually create. And I spend most of the time doing that. That's better than me just staring at a blank screen or trying to put in more hours. Like that matters, because it doesn't. It's not linear. Creativity is not linear in that way.
No, it's not. I've found recently that if I wash dishes, all of a sudden I can think of a bunch of things to say. I don't know why. There's something about that process that like gets my mind in the right state.
Totally. Well, it's the shower. It's the showering effect. It's the thing where
is very effective.
You're doing a task, but that doesn't require any of your right brain maybe or something. I don't know. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
You already know what to do. It's like when you shower, you don't think like, where should I wash next? Your hands just wash your body. That's how it works. And you don't have that I'm sitting still and trying to meditate like torture. It's just like, I'm not supposed to be having a clear mind right now. I'm just showering. And you're like,
it's like a natural pause.
Yeah. I do the same thing on a bike, like on my bike trips. I'm just pedaling, biking.
How many bike trips have you done?
Good ideas, I've done 2. I did one across Europe from London to Turkey to Greece, 3 months. And then I just did this one from Vancouver, Canada to here. To literally this apartment, and then it was awkward.
And this was the end of it.
Sorry. It's like, why am I here? Yeah. Why are these dogs barking? Yeah, but...
I assume you don't take very much with you.
No.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get through that many months with not much?
I love audiobooks and podcasts.
As do
so
I.
I do listen to those while I'm biking, although I try not to do that the whole time. I try not to just, it can become an impulsive thing to fill space. And I try not to do it for that reason. I mean, there's scenery, there's people to meet. You do get kind of lonely. So you like end up just wanting to talk to anybody, which can be kind of cool. Cause when I'm here, I'm a bit more picky, who I like, who I want to spend my time with and stuff. And there I'm like, oh my gosh, person pumping gas. Like, what's up? What's your life about? Like,
somebody to talk to.
I'm lonely,
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice, like valuing. The cool thing about bike touring is everybody has worth to you, legitimate value, because I'm always looking for a place to camp and sleep that night. They putting me up on their couch and feeding me their shitty food is like a 5-star hotel for me.
Are people that willing to do that? Is that like a common thing that somebody will welcome you into their home to sleep?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's, depending on, you put yourself in those situations.
Yeah.
There's a thing called warmshowers.org, which is a website, and it's like couch surfing for bike tourists. So other bicycle tourists just put you up and you just message them and they're like, yeah, come on by. And that's great.
That's pretty cool. This built-in community.
Yeah. But other than that, I would sleep in like state parks. You can do that for $5. They give you a little campsite if you're a biker. If you're coming in a car, it's more, but they call it hiker-biker rates. And the state park's all up and down the coast.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your main reason for doing them?
Escaping being an adult, mostly. Especially this last one. I was just like, I think I had a sneaky feeling that I knew I needed to like just kind of buckle down and start thinking about finances and like income and just do a better job with that. And I was like, I gotta just go. I need to run away. Yeah. And so I just did about 45 days on the road. I think I brought like $400 in cash, and that's like all I had. I just was like, fuck it. I shouldn't be doing this right now, but I have to.
I know people that spend that in 2 days.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I spent very little money and it was great. And then I came back and I started being an adult. But actually, it was really nice because I actually really wanted to at that point.
Right.
I'm like a camel. You know how they say like camels they don't want to move. You have too much weight in them, they just sit down and you just have to like take the weight off and then the camel will get up. Like I'm the worst. Like I don't want to say I have no self-discipline, but I believe very strongly that my self-discipline bucket is not where I want to be drawing from to make my life go. And so in that case, like I don't like doing things I don't want to do until I want to do it. Right. And that's, pain and suffering and consequences are good for making you do the things you don't want to do. So I try to just kind of be in touch with that and like, oh, okay, I really need to do this now. So
yeah,
that's
so it's like you have to hit a bit of a reset button to be able to live some of that grown-up life. Yeah,
in a way, I guess. I don't know. It's good though. It feels good. I actually, like 2 days ago, I just made my first monthly budget where I'm tracking all my income and all my expenses.
Ooh, I don't even have one of those.
No, I'd never had one of those. And the cool thing is I genuinely want to do it. I get excited to put the numbers in. Again, I've tried to do that in the past and just been like, oh, I hate this. Oh, fuck this. But now I'm like, yeah.
But for some reason you're in that phase.
I'm organized. And it's not because I want to be like a good person. It just feels good to know that and be organized and know when I'm spending, know when I'm making. It's nice. I'm just in that phase. I'm letting myself do this. There's a guy who was sort of a big mentor of mine, and I talked to him every week for a while. He taught me a lot about life. And one of the things he said, which I absolutely love, I was in my 20s at the time when I was talking to him, and I still talk to him, but he said something like, I think the point of life is to just like really be in the phase of life you're in and just live it and enjoy it and let it change, but just be in it. If you're 20, like go to Cancun and chase people around.
Yeah.
If you're going, if you're in your 30s, like if you're in 40s, whatever, just let yourself just do it. This is life. Like it's phases. There's times you care about things, times you don't care about things. Like go do that. And I think that was really good. And I try to do that.
Yeah. It feels like sometimes when we feel the need to change, all of a sudden we tell ourselves that that's wrong, or other people around us will think that it's wrong because we're being different than we were before.
It's hard.
And they recognize you as a certain thing.
Yeah.
So if you try to make a shift, they kind of make you feel weird about it.
Totally.
But we definitely go through phases.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the polyamorous relationships and IntimacyFest. So I'm meeting more and more people that are polyamorous all of a sudden, or it's becoming, I'm hearing it more. Okay. It's around more.
Yeah. What's with these people is what you're thinking.
I'm just I'm curious about it just because it's more prevalent.
Yeah,
it's more prevalent, and I'm running into more people that are at least curious about this, that are interested in it.
Yeah,
the concept of consent, the concept of all of these types of things. Speak to that a little bit, since I know you're all up in it.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know where to start.
I know
it is definitely I'm hosting. I mean, I'm helping the production company host a screening of a documentary that's coming out called Monogamish on Monday. You should come. It'd be fun. It's on North Park. Monogamish is a term that Dan Savage came up with. He's a public intellectual around this space. Been doing a column and a podcast for many, many years. He's kind of like the father of modern sex advice, I think, for me. I think that the way we do monogamy right now it's just destined to fail, like horribly, like down in flames kind of shit. It's not that monogamy itself is bad, like having one partner and being sexually exclusive to them is nothing wrong with that. But it's all the stuff we've woven into monogamy, like possession. I mean, so I use this example that this is kind of a funny thing. So let's say I was on a first date with like a normal person doing whatever. And they were like, hey, how was your weekend? You know, typical question. And let's just say my weekend was great. And part of my weekend was meeting up with another woman and having a wild, memorable sexual experience with her. Like, so what most people would say is they'd be just like, oh, yeah, my weekend was good. I met up with my friend, Wendy, you know, whatever. Sure. We went out, we saw a movie.
It was fine.
But really, what I would say to a friend, if they asked me, not this date, like, how was your weekend? I'm like, oh, dude, my weekend was amazing. Like, I met this girl, Wendy, went on this date, went back to her place, stayed up till 3 a.m., had like amazing sex, like felt so connected. I like fell in love 10 times that night. And oh my God, like it's so great, right? I would never say that on a date. No, I mean, I would, but like that would be so weird to say on a date.
Right.
But
have you said that on a date?
Well, I say that all the time to people on dates because the people I date that's not weird for them, but that's another story.
Yes.
But the idea is like, okay, so let's think about that for a second. So why is that person getting upset? We know it's normal to get upset, but like, why would they care? Why would they get upset? What that person's doing is actually being honest, because they're answering the question honestly. They're being transparent. They're showing like a sex positivity that for them, sex is something that doesn't happen in a dark closet somewhere. They're just like, sex is sex. It's okay. So why would we care? And I think the reason is because we have woven in possession with love. And what possession means is not what it started out to mean in the Bible and what we all did that, which is like, okay, you're my wife, so I'm my property, and I'm going to trade you for like 6 cattle or something. We possess people's happiness. So the way I can control you is I'm like, well, Courtney, like I hear you like tango dancing, but I'm not comfortable with you dancing with other men. So when you go tango dancing, I'm just going to like throw a fit or be emotional, or I'm going to go do something that I like that makes you uncomfortable or whatever. We're just going to do these subtle manipulation tactics because at the root of it, we just believe that we have a right to that person's life in that way because you're my wife. Well, obviously. Why? Do we do that to our friends? No. Do we do it to their brothers and sisters? No. We don't do that to people because that's an asshole thing to do unless you're in a relationship or you're married. And then it's like, well, fuck. And then I go to my friend, Jim, can you believe Courtney's doing this? And Jim's like, yeah, I can't believe it. Courtney's a bitch. You know, like what the fuck's wrong with Courtney, you know? And then I get reinforcements. And then you go to your friends like Dave. Yeah. And like, but that's that we didn't stop to question the system. You know, we didn't stop to go like, well, is that what I signed up for? And again, that has nothing to do with being polyamorous or being monogamous. It's just like, that's the stuff that it comes with. Actually, that whole fence analogy is really good because, you know, monogamy, there's a pretty big fence around monogamy. You just can't fuck anybody else and do sex acts. Mm-hmm. That's it. But what we all do is instead of going like, walk up to the fence and go, hey, Courtney, is this cool if I'm over here? And you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. All right, what about here? Oh, it makes it a little uncomfortable. Okay, well, let's move the fence here. What about this? What about here? What about here? Instead of actually figuring out where that fence is, we just stay in the middle of the playground. And then we get smaller and smaller. And then our little playground, where we allowed to go is smaller and smaller and smaller. And every time we feel fear, we just contract instead of go, hey, Courtney, I'm feeling fear. Are you cool with this? What's up with this? Let's talk about it. We just get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then finally we just explode, which is infidelity and cheating. And cheating is just a pressure release valve for monogamy because it's a pressure building system. And again, not monogamy as a structure, but the way we do things, the way we do relationships in general. And that stuff happens in poly relationships too, because how we do relationships is fucked up.
Just a breakdown of communication really is the root. Do you set certain parameters within when
totally.
you have relationships?
The way to do the best practices for polyamory are it's not just like a free for all, especially starting out. Like, the way I think the best way to do it and the way I've done it and some of my friends around here is, let's say you're in a couple. Let's say it's like a typical situation. Maybe a couple wants to open up and then says, all right, let's date other people or have an occasional threesome or whatever. So it's like you have to really consider yourself a team. Like, let's move together, and let's only move together if we're both a hell yes to that. And that might mean we have to go really fucking slow, and that's okay, But that is different than what most people think. Most people think that it means, all right, honey, well, I'm going to go out and bang some people, so I'll just hope you're okay with it. Go watch your Netflix show. See you later. That's not a kind way to do it. Although that happens too, but that ultimately
like that
will
part would
break
increase
down.
The drama. Yeah.
Right. That will break down and that won't work. And then you have to go, oh, what didn't work about that? And you might arrive at a conclusion similar to what I said, but I think that's the best way to go about it is to do your best to keep everybody in a yes, because there's going to be feelings and going to be jealousy that comes up anyways. Like, you can't avoid that. Right. And then when that happens, you pause and deal with it. And then, really show people that, like, we all want everybody to be a yes. This is a win-win-win-win-win thing. This isn't like, I don't want to do this at your expense, And so that's an example of like how a couple might do it. There's so many ways to do it. I mean, there's swinging, which is a little more just like, hey, let's just go out and have sex. Let's not get emotionally tied into people as much. But again, that's also varies within the swinger community. I can't speak for all that. And teach their own, there's, you get to make the rules. That's the cool part about it.
Okay, interesting.
And that's why this term monogamish is cool. Because it could be like, hey, like, we're just a monogamous couple that has the occasional threesome. Like, that's not monogamy. And maybe that's our version of it, and that's okay.
And then some of these things, I guess, require just a little bit more vulnerability. If you're talking about communicating the things that are upsetting you, right? Or if you start to get jealous, you start to get frustrated. I would see that sometimes people aren't good at expressing.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about. Not me, for sure. I'm
but
great at that. Yeah, no, that was a very hard lesson I had to learn.
Yeah.
When I first opened up, I was with a partner for 4 years, and we went into the polyamory waters together. And yeah, I realized, like me, I'm from Boston. I grew up in a family that just sweeps stuff under the rug when it's uncomfortable, and we never talk about anything. And she actually grew up in Poland, and with the exact opposite experience, which I think is maybe more typical of like Slavic culture. That is a huge generalization. I could be totally wrong, but they're a little more direct about things. It's like, you're being a jerk. They'll be like, you're being a jerk. Or if like, they'll just tell you what's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely a culture thing.
We want to keep it nice, keep the peace, not say anything. And one of the things that did for me as a negative was help, teach me to like not share my feelings authentically and just instead be like, make other people wrong or like tell them how to fix themselves. And when really, I just wanted to be like, oh, like I just felt really sad there when you did that. And so, yeah, that's tough, but it was definitely that was hard. And I'm still working on that. I mean,
it's got to be a little bit ongoing.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
feelings, man.
But I'm like happy to say that I'm like legitimately a lot better at it than I used to be. If I wasn't, I would be like, I'd have gone insane by now because polyamory really, forces you to actually get that shit together. Because if you don't, like, you're going to be so miserable.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And that just doesn't work.
I would imagine. Does that tie into this? Is IntimacyFest, is that something that you started?
Yeah, IntimacyFest I started with my previous partner, Paula, in 2015. It's not a festival that is about polyamory. It's inclusive of that, and a lot of the people that come are in open relationships, but it's really just about the magic of connection, of just deep connection, whether that means group people sitting around sharing things they don't want other people to know. And what happens then, or people cuddling together, or learning massage, or it's really just, I like intimacy as like a general term for something that I think we all really just want, And again, it's not about sexuality, although it can include that. But, intimacy is just kind of like what happens when you just get real and share the stuff that you don't put on Facebook. You share the selfies that you didn't post. And it's like, that's the shit that's
that's the worst.
But then people are like, oh my God, I feel like I know you. And you're like, you just feel close to them.
Yeah,
and
it seems like people like you better when you share your faults.
Yeah.
When you break down that little bit of a facade, you take that armor down
because
a little bit.
We're all massively suffering from comparison shit.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's nice to get a relief from that once in a while. To be like, oh my God, like, you mean Courtney doesn't wake up like that or something? Or, like that's just like, it's hard, it's hard out there. And so, and that brings us close. Like when I first started hearing about this, I mean, I used to be the guy back in my 20s and everything where people would be like, how's it going, Dave? I'd be like, it's great. I was like a walking Tony Robbins seminar or something. I was like, everything's great. And I joined a men's group up in Encinitas actually. And there would always be these like check-ins. So like, okay guys, like, how you feeling? And I'm like, I'm feeling great all the time. My life is great.
Right.
And the guys were like, Dave, I don't really feel you, man. Like, I don't feel like I know you, and I didn't know I was like, why are you bringing me down, man? What's your problem? What's your deal?
Nobody can connect to that.
Yeah. And it wasn't that. And like, yeah, on some level that was true for me. But once I shifted to, okay, the purpose of sharing here is to bring us closer. Mm-hmm. Oh, I get that. Like sharing the highs and the lows is really good for that too. So I might be like, yeah, things are great here. And, I feel like super broke right now because I'm not making much money and I feel shamed about that. And this is good. It's just like actually sharing your full spectrum of experience as it happens for you inside of ourselves is a roller coaster. It's not, that's just how it is.
It's not the same every day.
Not a highlight reel. What we do on social media is a highlight reel.
Absolutely. It gives people a chance to relate to you and you share those other things, right? So the people that show up to these things, are they people that are trying to become more comfortable with intimacy, or are these people that are already pretty comfortable and they're just taking a reprieve?
Both. Yeah. We have a lot of people. I think one of the best parts about it is the quality of people we have there. I have a friend of mine named Reed Mahalko, who's a sex educator who comes and teaches and does some things. And then I lead some workshops and so does Paula, but really the magic happens when people just meet each other. I was actually just reading something I wrote about last year's event, and I was just recalling like how much all the people there made such a difference. Not surprisingly. I mean, it's not like what I facilitate is that. It's really just about like the way people show up and role model things for each other.
Yeah.
And it's only about 40, 50 people, so it's an intimate event.
For sure. So. Can you think of anything that's like any particular event that stood out to you?
Well, there's this one game. I call a lot of things games because it's fun, even though it's like deep sometimes. But there's this one thing which is I call it What's Between Us, and we made it up on actually the first day of the first IntimacyFest. And Paul and I we lead a lot of workshops on intimacy related things. And I was having this conversation with my friend Jess, who I'm actually living at her house right now. And she has been dating my friend Justin for a while. And that's actually how I met her. She had always been, Jess, who's dating Justin. And they'd broken up. And a few months before IntimacyFest, and Jess was at IntimacyFest, I was talking to her and she said, it's nice to be with you here, Dave. And I feel like it's nice to be with you because there's always been a Justin between us. And again, Justin, we both love Justin. He's a good friend of mine, But it was true. I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. That's one of the things that was keeping us from...
Yeah, there's like, always been a barrier
there was something there in that space. That's what's between us. Justin. Yeah. And now Justin's not there. Or the fact that we named that allowed that to dissolve. And so we can see each other more. And I just loved that language. I thought, oh, that's cool. That's what's between us. And so I was like, all right, everybody, we're going to play a game. It's called What's Between Us. And I just have people mingle around and I have them consider like, what's between you and this random person you're looking at or somebody else. And it could be like, I'm really attracted to you and that's weird. and I'm acting weird, and I just needed to acknowledge that. And it's like, okay, that's done. Or like I heard somebody say a rumor about you, like you're like a witch on the side or something. And that's always made me a little bit scared of you. Or like, you're Chinese and I judge you and I think you're smarter than I am or make more money than I do. Or you're, whatever. Like there's all these things that are between us that if we just spoke to it and we're just honest about it, they would dissolve because all they were just something that needed to be talked about. And so we play that game a lot. And it can get, it's edgy. It's like when I play this and I do it right, it's always like, I don't want to say that. I'm like, oh shit.
You cannot possibly say that out loud.
And then after you say it, it's like, the air is clear. Yeah. And so we just do that over and over again. Not that particular game, although we play that several times. But we do different things that are that process for like 4 days. And it's pretty magical after a couple of days. It's like, wow, like this is what it's like to feel really connected to a lot of people and to feel like myself and feel like I can be whoever the fuck I want. The people actually support me and they know they see me. They see actually me, not just the person they know I'm messy and they know whatever. And how freeing is that? So that's the kind of stuff we do.
That's awesome. Yeah. How long is that? And where is this?
It's 4 days. This year it's going to be June 21st to the 24th. It's about an hour east of here by Yakumba Hot Springs. And I know I looked on the map and there's like a bunch of stuff. This is the first year we're doing it there. We've done it out in Awanga, which is up by Anza. And we moved it because that land got sold. So we're in a new place, which is really cool and even better. And I looked at the map. I was like, what's it near? How do I describe it to people? And I was like, not really near other stuff. It's not as far as that. Oh, Yakumba Hot Springs is there. That sounds cool.
That sounds nice. Who doesn't want
to be near a hot springs? Exactly.
Everybody does. That's so funny.
So that's what I say now.
Yeah.
And because nobody knows where Yakumba Hot Springs is. It's just a little town.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Exactly. When you were like, ooh, right?
You just said hot spring and I was like, okay.
Oh, okay.
I like hot springs.
Sounds great.
Not that I've even been to one. It's just hilarious. So also the concept of like very specific consent. I've run into another person that deals in this and he's like, the importance of consent is massive for us to feel comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
So even if I want to touch you on the shoulder here, I want to ask your permission to do it.
Right.
So he's just asking me very specific, am I allowed to do this?
Yeah. I mean, so I think that what you're voicing sounds like is a very typical concern with people, which is like, oh, well, do I have to ask for everything? Like, can I not touch anybody? Can I not do that? Right. And I understand that. I think it's really about understanding other people's experience. So, and erring on the side of caution. So if you're not sure whether you think somebody would be okay with them touching you, maybe ask. Mm-hmm. Just check in. You're like, hey, like there's a lot of people before I hug them, I'll just say, would you like a hug? Not everybody wants a hug from me, believe it or not.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
And I used to just hug people. And then I realized, 95% of those people were totally cool with it. And there's 5% that are like, I wasn't really into that. I would have rather he didn't hug me. Yeah. And because of that, I don't really want to make people feel that way. So, yeah, I mean, like touching a shoulder might be a little extreme.
It felt extreme.
But in terms of like, crossing people's boundaries. And I think that we're all coming to a place now where we have to kind of like recalibrate this and go like, oh, so, because I would say to that person who's like, well, what's up with that? Do you have to touch shoulder? I'm like, whatever we're doing now, we have to figure out something else. So if you've been going about life touching people and not asking in your way of doing this, we as a society, we suck at this. Look around. And again, that's what this whole Me Too thing is about like, hey guys, like there's a problem. Yeah, like
some stuff has been wrong and it's really coming to the forefront. And it seems like this is kind of a big response.
And most guys, and this was me for many years, most guys don't realize the extent to which this shit sucks for people that are big victims of it. I, as a 5'10", relatively large man, have never worried. I could walk down PB at any hour of the night. And I don't have a second, when a second of my attention is not thinking, will somebody jump out of an alley and will I be at risk at all? Mm-hmm. That is a really privileged thing to think.
Yeah.
And then so let's just say I'm at a bar and I'm outside talking to someone and then there's some flirting going on and we kind of step around the corner and I'm like, do you want to make out? Or I kind of lean in to kiss them. Like, I don't think about the fact that like I'm way bigger than they are, assuming they're like a smaller woman.
Sure.
I've never been in that position. Now, again, I recommend guys go spend some time at gay bars, get hit on by men.
I've told my male friends this.
I've taken guys out to gay bars. I've been, I've been in those situations, and it's incredibly important to understand what men are actually like. Because men in gay bars are not any less aggressive.
Yeah.
In fact, they're probably a little more aggressive depending on,
they can be
and wear something cute too when you go to the gay bar. Don't just look like a schlub, right? But yeah, it's like, oh, you don't like that. Oh, I get it. Somebody giving you a long, awkward hug and then like nuzzling into your cheek in your neck because they want to like, get close to you. Oh, it is a big deal. I get it. Yeah. And I'll do that every day. And now that guy's your boss, and he's gonna fire you if you don't let him do that to you. Oh, that sucks, doesn't it? And then go smile and be happy and radiant.
And now it's got weird.
And it's
gotten weird.
It sucks. Like, and so again, I say this. I did not realize this for many years. I went to the fucking Naval Academy. I didn't realize. I mean, the women that were there were fucking tortured by this bullshit, and I just got a glimpse of it there. But I didn't really understand it until I started really thinking about this stuff, and so that's what we're trying to change.
Yeah.
Hopefully by saying, hey, man, ask. And then, if you ask everybody before you put your hand on their shoulder and you hear about, hey, that's cool, you don't have to ask. Or if everybody seems comfortable, maybe you go like, or maybe you talk to people like, hey, Courtney, as a friend of mine, like, I've been asking people before I touch their shoulder, do you feel like where is that a line I should be drawing? Maybe somewhere else? Like, ask people, have conversations with them.
Yeah.
And get more than one opinion, and that stuff is
sometimes people are really afraid to just get into that stuff.
Well, they're afraid
it's like just trying to be whatever they think they should be and try to seem like they're in control and they're comfortable, so they don't just ask simple questions and get to know people. Yeah.
Well, we've all been like groping in the dark in a lot of ways, where we're like, we're getting a little bit of needs met. We're getting a little bit of affection. It's making people feel uncomfortable, but I don't know. We got to touch some boobies, so whatever. Like, so we're doing this, and it's weird.
Like high school.
Yeah, it's like, and we're just like afraid that if we like turn the lights on and actually have a conversation about it, it might go away. So we're just gonna like keep oozing and like sneaking our little like tentacles and just hoping we get a little bit here and there. And it's like, oh, come on. That sucks. And I understand because we're just so afraid of losing this connection, whatever it is, And so we do stupid things.
We're going to break the magic.
There's not magic. No magic.
Talking.
Yeah, we'll break the risk of getting something, and it's silly.
Yeah, for sure. Now, where do you find your dates these days? Are you an online dater? Do you
I'm on Bumble. I'm on Bumble.
I
saw you on Bumble, actually.
Hey, what's up?
I don't think you matched with me if you didn't see me on Bumble.
I haven't seen you.
But keep swiping. Keep you'll get me there. But the reason I'm on Bumble is, for me, 99% of people are not a good fit for me, obviously, right? So most people are looking for monogamy, looking for the one, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Bumble works for me because my profile is very explicit about who I am. It says single, identified as polyamorous, must be open to transparent, honest conversations, sex positivity is a must, blah, blah. Don't give a fuck about sports and drinking or something like that.
So 5'10", you're clear.
Yeah. Because everybody...
5'10", here's my Instagram.
All everybody says is sports or drinking. Like, what? Is that it? That's all you have to say about your life is go Bengals or like, I love Sunday fun day, wine day, whatever. Like, fuck that. Anyways. So I just put that out there in case somebody's like, oh my God, yeah. But Bumble's great because people have to message me. I get a lot of matches, but I don't get a lot of messages because I think women don't read profiles, apparently.
You don't think so? God, I feel
like... I know, I don't. I thought they did.
Well, me and my friend Michelle are always talking about this because we're on there. We make sure to read them. And like if they put nothing, they're an automatic no for me, no matter how hot they are in their pictures. I don't care. So do you end up meeting people on here?
Yeah, actually went out with a woman last night that I met, and it was great. We had an amazing time. I've met like 2 women on there. I've been on there for like a year or 2. I mean, it's few and far between, but I also don't spend a lot of time messaging with people. Like my ROI for Bumble is amazing. I barely spend much time on it, and then people match. Actually, it's funny. There was just a girl who just messaged me, and sometimes people will message me and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm basically like waiting for like the did you read my profile? It's awkward.
Do you know?
And I say this. I mean, I literally actually.
You don't want to waste your time.
I don't know if she got back to me. I was like, hey, can I ask you a question? This is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, hold on. So this is the girl named Sophia. Oh my God, this is funny. All right, I'm just gonna tell you what's happening here. This is all there is so far, right?
Okay.
Hey, can I ask a question? Sure. What had you message me? She says, I don't understand the question. So now I'm gonna have to explain to her because I'm like, why did you fucking reach out to me?
Like,
what's
spell
up?
Spell it out.
You know, like. Again, that's kind of awkward for people. Like, wait, I thought we were just going to do small talk and then blah, blah. I'm like, no, let's talk. Let's be intentional about this. I guarantee you that, so there was another conversation with a girl about like her like a week ago. I was like, hey, what had you messaged me? She's like, you look cute in the picture of you in the hoodie thing or whatever. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, did you see the part where I said I was polyamorous? And she's
that's going to
yeah.
play a factor here.
Yeah. And again, not that I couldn't date you. I can obviously date a lot of people, but like that doesn't work for most people. Like, you know, did you see that? What are your thoughts on that? My profile is pretty polarizing. If people don't mention it in the first couple lines, like, hello, you know, you're either like, oh my God, thank you for existing. I'm looking for you, or I don't want anything to do with you, or I'm really curious, or I just want to hook up, which doesn't happen, but I might think whatever. So, I'll say to them, hey, and again, I'll probably say it to this girl at some point. You know, most people that message me are either a hell yes to polyamory because they've experienced it, or are curious about it. Like they're like, oh, I want to learn about that, or I'm interested in that, or just looking to hook up. So tell me about it. Do you have an experience with that? You know? Mm-hmm. And then she's like, no, I don't know. I was like, okay, fine.
Like, I'm confused and I'm scared.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not trying to be like bushy or mean or anything. I just want to like.
Well, no, but you want to be talking
like,
to people
come on,
that
like, you know,
trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I love telling people about. Obviously, here I am chatting about polyamory. Like, you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be. Let's talk about the elephant. Like, that's a fucking elephant. I'm like, hey, I'm polyamorous. Cool. How's the weather? Like, no, there's an elephant in the room. Like, let's talk about it. So,
that's good. Well, at least you're open about it.
I try to be. I mean, I just try.
Saving yourself a lot of strife.
Yeah, no, I say it's mostly amusement. Like, this cracks me up. I don't understand the question. Okay, why did you text? Like, why? Yeah. Why? You could have.
It's very rare for men to ask that.
Oh, of course it is. Oh, it's. I know it's super weird what I'm doing.
Yes.
It'd be so much easier for me to be like, "Hey, funny gift."
I know it's all surface stuff usually.
So
if you could give advice, super quick, because I'm gonna let you get out of here.
Yeah.
What do you think men could change about their behavior towards women? What do you think the most important thing they could change right now?
I think they could go to gay bars. They could go to gay bars and they could not be so afraid of putting things up their ass.
Oh.
The male prostate.
That.
Of course, they're going, oh my God, no. The male prostate is a thing. It's just like the female G-spot. It's the male G-spot. It's obviously something gay men have understood. So it's more associated with gay men, but it's not about that at all. It's just we all feel pleasure and every time we poop. So there is a spot. I wrote an article about this. There's 5 awesome fucking reasons why straight men should take it up the ass.
Perfect.
And I prefaced it by saying, oh, do you feel a little frustrated by a lot of the Me Too stuff that's going around? What can you do? How do you help them? Here's how to do it. Here's how to help culture. Change yourself. Stop being so homophobic. Homophobia is a huge fundamental problem in our culture that's creating all sorts of issues, including the sexual violence. Like if people ask me, this doesn't happen too often because I'm a classically like masculine-ish dude, but if someone's heard me sing like when I play gigs, I'll sing like Natural Woman or like Son of a Preacher Man or some songs that are traditionally sung by women and you wouldn't change their, Daughter of a Preacher Man or Natural Man. It just doesn't sound the same. Right. It's stupid. So if someone was like, oh, are you gay? If I'm like, no, like I'm just perpetuating the same bullshit culture. That's like, like who fucking cares? Like, am I Italian or am I Swedish? Like, why would I?
Like I'm singing a song.
What's the deal? So the thing men can do is to play with the edges of what they consider masculinity or all this other stuff. And yeah, like I said, I can go to gay bars is great. Like go to like a heavy leather gay bar too. So when you're gonna get hit on like
really step out of your comfort zone here, man.
Yeah. And and like what's the worst? Here's the thing. It's like, you go inside the mind of a man, I suggest that too. They're like, well, what if I get a hit on and have to like say no? And what if I have to like deal with people being aggressive? I'm like, yeah, that's the fucking point, dude.
Like a woman does all the time.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Like, I hope you get hit on. I hope some dude makes out with you without you wanting it. Oh my God. Again, like, that's the fucking point. Like, it sucks. And then you'll go, oh, now I get it, Matt Lauer or whatever the latest guy is, you know? Like,
it's just a never-ending stream now of men.
Yeah.
It's all coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
It's all coming out.
And it's great. Like, I'm glad it's happening. I mean, it sucks for the people like Matt Lauer's wife and other people. That there's all sorts of things that happen with it. It's, you know, we're just realizing it, you know, I mean, some people say, oh, this is a thing that's happening now. I'm like, I don't think this is a thing that's happening now. This is called normal from now on. Like, this is what it's going to be. Women aren't going to decide in like 2 months. They're like, all right, we're good. We've accused enough men. There's 3.5 fucking billion men in this world. I don't think women are done anytime soon. And I think, you know, and I think it's going to get more nuanced. Like, then some men are going to legitimately be like, like, I've actually felt kind of assaulted by this woman, or we're actually going to start talking about this stuff and going, oh, this is a problem. And then we're going to go, okay, now I want some sex ed. I know I grew up with abstinence only, and I thought that was okay, but maybe we should learn about sex ed. And maybe sex ed should include something other than reproduction.
Sure.
Maybe it should include things like pleasure and consent and gender identities and sexual orientation. And maybe we should start talking about some of that stuff because we see it's a problem, and the problem's not going away. This is not going to be, oh yeah, remember in November and December of 2017 when all those guys were getting accused? No. This is going to be, and you know what? This podcast is going to be around for a while. So if it's like 2020 right now, and somebody's listening to this and this is not still happening, then I'm wrong. Yeah. But I think it's going to be the case.
Yeah, it's true.
I think we can thank Donald Trump too, to be honest. I think we can thank Donald Trump because he's a train wreck of a human being, of course, and has woken people up to be like, it's not okay to be silent anymore. It's not okay to just sit there and watch bullshit happen. You need to say something or that's going to happen. And that happened. So we're like, okay, we're not going to let that happen again. We're going to say something. Because if this culture happened, I mean, really, if this culture was like it is now, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, Trump would be just like Matt Lauer. The headline would be, reality star Donald Trump fired from The Apprentice for sexual assault. 2006. There you go. Doesn't run for president. But it wasn't like that. So here he is.
So here we go.
President.
Yeah. We're definitely in the beginning of a new phase, I would say.
Yeah. Hopefully.
It's all phases.
Yeah.
Tell people what your website is, where they can find you, all that good stuff.
Well, we talked a lot about IntimacyFest, so you can check out IntimacyFest.com. It's happening June 21st to the 24th outside of San Diego. Courtney will be there. It'll be great. With the dogs. Actually, can't bring the dogs, but... And you can go to, if you want to check out the writing, it's Boodaism.com, Boodaism.com. And, or you can just type it into Google. Although Google will say, did you mean Buddhism?
And you'll be like,
and you say, no, motherfucker, I didn't. And then someday Google will learn and they'll like, okay, we get it. There's this guy out there.
There you go. And then you've made it.
Yeah, then I made it. So.
Awesome. It was nice talking to you.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
That's it for this one, people. Make sure to follow me on the socials at Courtney Diamond for updates on new podcasts, and head over to CourtneyDiamond.com to check out the blog. Thanks for being here, and if you've enjoyed this podcast, please leave a nice rating or comment on iTunes. I'd very much appreciate it. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you soon.